Vintage toy hunting in Tokyo. Talk about a sentence that's music to my ears. There's few things in life that I enjoy as much as travelling around this city and picking up new keshi and tokusatsu and sofubi for my vintage toy collection. And apparently I'm not the only one, because in the 7 years since my last visit, there's never been more tourism, the toy shops have never been more popular, and the shelves inside them have never been more depleted. So I want to know if there's any truth to that. I want to know if it's an exaggeration. And I want to buy some toys for my collection. So I'm really hoping that there's some left for me. Let's see how we get on. What's cracking, people? Watashi wa Thioken desu, and welcome back to my brand new video series where I return back to Japan, the home of Gamera, Ultraman, Mazinger, and so much more of what so many of us love here at Slimehouse TV, as we cover everything that makes Japan the #1 hotspot on the planet for toys and toy creation, Slimehouse style. So in the last 2 episodes, we got deep into some classic Japanese vintage toy hunting, pulling up at every mandarake store in both Akihabara and Nakano Broadway, where we hunted down and came back with a bunch of awesome new bits to add to our toy collections. So sticking with that same energy, in today's episode, we're going to be checking out the final 2 mandarake stores on our list, as well as a few other spots as well, to find out what they had on offer, because like I said in the intro, from what I'm getting told, the good toys, the reasonable prices these days in Japan are apparently few and far between. Let's go and have a look for ourselves.
Same, brother.
Yeah, go good.
The next station is Shibuya.
What is cracking, people? So today we are in Shibuya, home to the famous Shibuya crossing, but more importantly, the Shibuya Mandarake, which I've not been to for about 7 years, but when I came last time, all those years ago toy hunting, I picked up one of my holy grails for my collection, which wasn't even a Japanese toy. It was an old American, Louis Marks Great Garloo, but still to this day, it's one of my favorite things that I've ever picked up, one of the prized pieces of my collection, so I'm really looking forward to going back to the Mandarake now all these years later and see what I can find. Hopefully some cool toys for me, some cool retro game related stuff for Callum. So yeah man, let's do this. So once we touched down and had a little bit of a wander round, because it's just what you do, isn't it? We started making our way towards Shibuya's Mandarake, a place that's kinda designed like some sort of mad underground supervillain bunker. A supervillain bunker that's of course full to the rafters, wall to wall, with awesome Japanese toys of all different types from all different eras. Now, we'd only been in there a couple of minutes before Retro Ghetto spotted something that he wanted, or several things. Basically, as soon as you walk in on the left, you're greeted by a whole bunch of retro game-related toys and merchandise, and if you know him, you know that's his jam, so he was definitely in his element in this section. Something else that you'll also see so much of is Kinnikuman merch. We know it over in the Western world as mini muscle figures, or maybe the Ultimate Muscle anime that was on Sky back in the day. But here in Tokyo, Kinnikuman is such a huge franchise, and you constantly see so much merchandise for it everywhere that you go. They also had a big art toy and designer toy section in this Mandarake as well, right next to the game stuff, both sofubi and more of the PVC type figures too. And around the corner is where I found all the stuff that I were looking for, which if you watched any of my other episodes, you'll know is mainly Japanese soft vinyl toys. Now I know that I keep talking about how sofubi and soft vinyl are one of the main things that I'm looking for in these episodes and in these toy hunts, but I've not really spoken too much about which specific figures it is that I'm wanting. And the reason for that is because when it comes to this stuff, I've got such an eclectic taste. I don't collect any specific line or any particular series, I just like what jumps out at me. There was though obviously a couple of things that I was genuinely on the lookout for, one of which to my surprise and to my delight, I saw literally within minutes of walking into this mandarake's sofubi section.
So I have managed to find exactly one of the things that I was looking for. I did a video recently where I went to Switzerland and checked out a whole collection of sofubi, and there was one Red King piece in that I said, if I see that in Japan, I'm going to pick one up, and I've just found one now at a really nice price here at the Shibuya Mandarake. So yeah man, awesome.
Now if you saw the first episode in this video series, you'll know that I went to Akihabara looking for all this stuff and I couldn't find any at all. And I did go back way after this and find lots in a place there called Mandarake Koko, but at this point, as far as I knew, there were no sofubi in Akihabara really. So seeing all this stuff here in Shibuya was a big relief for me, because I was kind of worried that the rumours that I'd been getting told before coming here were true and that most of the good stuff had now been bought up, which obviously, as you can see here, was definitely not the case.
So as I was saying in a previous video or a previous shot, whenever it were, the Akihabara in Mandarake, there was no sofubi there. Fortunately, it feels like it's all ended up here in the Shibuya Mandarake because there's so much cool sofubi here. And I've definitely seen a few things that I want to pick up, including one that I've got waiting at the desk for me. So yeah man. A lot of this as well is like reissues of old sofubi from the 70s and stuff, or new stuff that's made in an old 70s style, and I'm just a fan of all of it. I think it's all wicked, and it all looks like candy in a cabinet to me.
Now most of the figures that you can see right here, like I just mentioned, are modern made, or at least made in the last 10 years or so, by a toy company called Medicom, a Japanese company that started in the mid-90s that makes all different types of toys, but these ones in particular are all part of their retro series, where they make old school style characters from old tokusatsu shows, both well-known ones, and then also really obscure heroes and kaijin as well. And I've always known about these figures, I've always thought they were dope, but it weren't until I started seeing displays of them like this in large quantities in Mandarake stores that I kinda got the bug to want to start buying them myself, and as you can see, this place had loads of them.
Shouts to Indonesia. Awesome to meet a Slimehouse viewer out here.
As well as all the soft vinyl, there was also a bunch of other toys on sale as well, obviously, including a couple of real nice boxed Jumbo Machinda figures, a Ghetto Robo and a Dragon, both boxed at around £1,500 each, so again, like the last ones that we found, a bit too much for my budget, but still very, very nice to see. So although they didn't come home with me, I still had a stack of toys waiting for me at the checkout that I needed to square up on before we headed out to the next location. Now as usual, we had a few places to be in Shibuya on this day, not just Mandarake, so once we'd left and grabbed a bit of food, we then headed out to a place that Callum really wanted to cover for his video and for his channel, Shibuya's Parkour Building. Now there's lots of different parkour buildings across Japan, but this one here is home to a bunch of official branded stores / centres for companies like Sega and Capcom and Nintendo, as well as a bunch of other cool stuff, and because this is Japan, they're all set out incredible. Now I'm not going to cover this place too much in this episode because I've got another video lined up that I'll be dropping soon that covers all these types of places and basically delves into the whole culture of Japanese fandom in general, and it's a video that I'm really looking forward to getting fully stuck into because as you can see from these stores here, there's not many countries that celebrate their franchises like the Japanese do. See, although I've been leaning heavily into the vintage toy hunting videos for the past couple of weeks, that's not all that I've been filming here. I've shot a bunch of different episodes on this trip, toy factory and studio visits, Gundam related content, loads of stuff. So do make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos, because chances are you're probably going to like the other episodes that I've got lined up as well. There were also a moment that hit me while I was filming this episode, and it'll sound a bit corny, but basically while I were out and about just covering some of the other cool stuff that we like, it kinda hit me where I was and what I was doing. Filming in Tokyo, in Shibuya, a place that I've been to many times now but can obviously never get over, and a place that when I was younger I could have only ever dreamt about hanging out in. I grew up, like you if you're watching this video probably, such a fan of Japanese movies and TV shows and the fashion, and also shows and documentaries about Japan and Japanese culture, and there was just this moment that hit me while I was here on this particular evening that I just felt so happy to now, all these years later, be in Tokyo filming my own series about my love for Japan, for my own brand and for my channel, and because this whole trip had been so non-stop constantly, it was here that everything just kinda sunk in. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you how lucky I felt in that moment to be able to be here filming all this stuff and also have an audience to showcase it all to. At this point in the trip as well, we'd only been here a few days filming and toy hunting, so we were still only just getting started. So yeah, Shibuya Mandarake was a vibe. Definitely found some awesome pieces. One piece that I was specifically looking for on this trip, and then some other pieces that I just couldn't say no to. But yeah man, really loving the Shibuya Mandarake. Didn't let me down. Just as good as I remember it being when I last came 7 years ago. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what we find next. On to the next location.
The next station is Ikebukuro. Ikebukuro.
So today we are back in Ikebukuro, and I haven't been here for quite a few years, but when I was last here, it wasn't for toy hunting, it was actually to go to the Kamen Rider diner, and I had the best time ever. That was such a good day. Ate some great food and saw some awesome original Kamen Rider outfits. And although today I'm not going to the Kamen Rider diner, I do hope to find some tokusatsu, because we've come to Ikebukuro to check out the mandarake, which wasn't here when I last come to Tokyo, so I'm really looking forward to checking that out, because from what I hear, it's got some really good stuff inside. So yeah man, let's see how we get on.
So the Ikebukuro Mandarake is located inside another parkour building, and because these are giant complexes full of all sorts of different types of shops, it's very easy to get lost and distracted in them, which is sometimes a good thing, because before we'd even got to the Mandarake, we randomly stumbled across a cool designer toy shop that we didn't even know were there. One of the maddest things about being here is you just stumble across places like this. We're trying to find the Mandarake, as you know, and went up some stairs to try and find where we thought it were, and then have randomly stumbled into a cool little art toy and sofubi designer independent shop. There's some amazing pieces here. Look at this destroyer. Now I did find out after speaking to the girl on the desk that worked there that this is actually a tea-based pop-up shop, something that I'll talk about more in a different video, because I had actually already filmed one of these in Harajuku, but it did have some really nice pieces inside, especially if you're into Japanese vinyl. Not vintage stuff, but lots of really cool new designer bits and arty stuff as well, and just another example of how you literally can't go anywhere in this city without running into toys. So after that, we headed down to the very bottom basement floor of this parkour building to check out what would be the final mandarake of our 2025 Tokyo Toy Adventure.
No food, no drink, no bad vibes. Oh, and straight in we find Jumbo Mashinda Raideen. I have already got this one, but it's a good omen nonetheless. Good price as well. This jellyfish guy is a vibe.
So straight away I could tell that this was a very eclectic mandarake, exactly the way that I like them, a good variation of everything, something for everyone, and as usual Callum instantly spotted something that grabbed his attention as well.
You found some earthbound sofubi? Oh yeah. It's called Mother, isn't it, over here?
Yeah, sit down here.
What a game too, man.
Hello.
What a weird legendary classic title. So what I'm discovering about this mandarake is that it's got a real good mix. It's not specifically focused on anything. It's got Gundam, it's got sofubi, it's got Transformers, it's got a little bit of everything. So there's not going to be many people that have got any complaints about this one. It's got a real good mix.
As standard as well, I was on my usual soft vinyl hunt and I didn't have to look far before I found a load, and by this point I'd hit every mandarake in Tokyo that stocked toys and figures like this. I'd seen more sofubi than I ever thought were possible, old, new, designer, all of it. So without a doubt I'd answered the question of if there's any sofubi left in this part of the world, because honestly, despite what I'd been told by people before I got here, I was constantly finding myself surrounded by vinyl pretty much everywhere that I went. By this point as well, I'd really caught the bug for those Medicom retro hero figures, and this place had loads, so many cool ones, and if my budget allowed for it I could have happily brought home every one of them. What I really like about these figures as well is just how many of the old and obscure tokusatsu heroes and villains that they cover. Tokusatsu, to anybody that doesn't know, is a specific style of Japanese live action film or TV show with crazy effects and costumes that I'm a massive fan of, and so they do all the big names like Kamen Rider and Space Sheriff that we've seen in toy form 1,000 times, but then they also go deep into the weirder, more underappreciated characters, and because they're done in that real old school style, they really do slot in with the vintage figures perfectly. Another thing that I love about them is the poses that they're sculpted in. A lot of the original 70s and 80s versions of these toys can barely stand up on their own a lot of the time, and I am going to deep dive into this more in a future video when I'm back in the studio, but these ones stand up so perfect. And of course, if you know me, you know that I'm always drawn to the stranger, lesser known characters, so out of all of them, they were also the ones that had me buzzing out the most.
Yeah, I don't know the names of the ones I'm getting, but I definitely want this guy, I want Jellyfish Dude, and I can't leave without Snail Man.
So yeah, Mandarake Ikebukuro was absolutely a vibe. Both myself and Callum found some rad new pieces for our collections, and although we'd done there, as usual the day was still young and we had a few more places that we wanted to check out in the area. Tokyo is also just one of those cities that you're literally never 10 minutes walk away in any direction from somewhere cool, and quite often, very much like that tea base that we randomly found earlier, you end up discovering little hidden gems everywhere that you can't help but having a little bit of a nosy at.
Man, that is cool, look at that. That'd be just a cool display, wouldn't it?
Just that on its own.
I could see that in your house.
Oh, the dream.
The dream.
Oh, I'd love that. That's one of those games that genuinely is fun to smash through.
You're playing that in Leeds, weren't you?
Little hidden gems like this vintage arcade that was also full of old Sega Astro cabs, something that if you watch Callum's channel you'll know that he's a massive fan of. Earlier this year, myself and our friend Dave Blade even ended up hand delivering one of these to Callum's house that he'd bought from a shop close to where I live in Sheffield. So it were really cool to be able to see so many of them here in their natural Japanese environment. After that, we also went to check out the Ikebukuro Super Potato retro game shop. We'd been to the one in Akihabara, so we had to see what this one was saying. And I didn't film much in here because this is more Callum's thing. But as always, very cool to check out. And if you want to see more of this stuff, then he's definitely got you covered over on the Retro Ghetto. From there, we then ended up at the final stop of the day, another place that's very much up Callum Street, the Ikebukuro Book Off, which was probably the biggest book off that I've visited yet. So Book Off are a lot like CEX in the UK, but 1,000 times better, and cover a much more varied range of products from new stuff to vintage, and if you're a physical media collector like Callum, then these places have always got you covered and they're all over Tokyo. They do have toys in Book Off as well, not loads, at least this one didn't, not as much as you'd find in somewhere like a Suragaya store, but definitely worth checking out if you appreciate massive second-hand shops. These places also always have the stock presented so well and organised, and everything is always so clean and well looked after. So that's how we got on at Ikebukuro, and that's usually where I'd wrap up the episode, but there was still something else that I needed to visit and check out, and to do so, it actually meant travelling back to the district of Shibuya. So a few days later, I linked up with Tokyo Toy Banzai and a couple of the other lads and headed back to Shibuya to check out a store that so many people had told me that I needed to get to, called Hans. Now, I did actually try and get to this shop already, but last time I were there, I didn't have any luck finding it, and I were told it was stacked with repro kaiju and retro-style soft vinyl, so of course I didn't want to miss out on that and was really excited to go back and tick it off my list.
Now, I came here the other day with Retro Ghetto, but I couldn't find the right floor. Some of these buildings in Japan are like stacked on top of each other with basements and all sorts. But apparently there's a floor that's full of soft vinyl toys. And yeah, if there's sofubi there, then we gotta go check it out. Okay, we're about to catch them hands.
I think if we go up here.
Now, Hans is a shop that certainly didn't disappoint and was definitely worth looping back round to Shibuya to visit. It's also the kind of place that's perfect if you just want to be able to guarantee yourself some retro style and colourful sofubi, big or small at a great price without having to do any digging or hunting, because it's all just there in stock, displayed beautifully with multiple figures of each character and each colourway. Now, there were a few different certified brands on offer here as well. So first of all, they had a big rack of CCP sofubi figures, loads of classic Godzilla characters and some Gamera as well. These are all half-scale figures, so don't take up too much space on the shelf if you don't want anything too big and chunky. They come in lots of different colours and are priced at about £20 each, so don't break the bank either. A great figure these for the collector that's just starting out, or if you're wanting some smaller figures to fill in some gaps on a bigger display.
It means raw in Japanese. Yes.
Crystal Gamera 96.
They're cheap, these. Yeah, I got bent legs one of these.
And I have also seen these dotted around Tokyo at different places that I went to, but never in the amount that they had here and never with this much variation on offer. Also next to them were a bunch of Bullmark originals. Now, I spoke about these a bit in the last video, but always so cool to see their figures on sale. Literally one of the most legendary names in Japanese sofubi, still pulling vinyl gold after decades of doing it. And then next to them was probably the biggest display of all of the soft vinyl available, a bunch of original sofubi pieces by Marusan. Now, Marusan is without doubt one of the most well-known and respected sofubi companies in Japan, with a lineage in toy making that goes back to the 1920s, believe it or not. So again, seeing so much of their awesome soft vinyl for sale in a shop like this, in Japan all these years later, really does warm my heart. And in many ways, if you was to buy one of these, I feel like there's no more of a legit experience of buying genuine homegrown Japanese vinyl. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Marusan right now because I may or may not have been filming a very exclusive special episode with them very recently, so more on that later, but just know that if you like the look of these figures, then there's a good chance that you're going to be seeing lots more of them appearing real soon here on Slimehouse TV. Now, Hans is actually located right over the road from the Shibuya Mandarake, so obviously we had to pop back in there again, and I know I said this about the Mandarakes in Nakano Broadway, but because these places turn over their stock so frequently, you can visit them just a few days apart and they're always so different, so straight away I was seeing a bunch of stuff that I'd either missed last time or was fresh stock just in.
These are actually sold in little candy toy boxes, even though they're...
If you like it, I assume it came in a candy box.
We got Transformers Generations, got your Diaclone.
Diaclone.
It's also always really good visiting a spot like this with Jeremy, even if it's somewhere that I've only just been to, because his crazy wealth of knowledge of this stuff means that he's always pulling out something that I've missed or showing me something interesting. And because he's so into so much of the weird and obscure Japanese pop culture that I am, it's always cool to be able to be surrounded by it with someone else that appreciates it the same way that I do.
show's wild. It's like RoboCop with lots of monsters.
Oh yeah, I love Metal Heroes.
This is one of the last ones, and then they turned into basically Kamen Rider after that.
Those little Beast Wars
Oh
Keshi.
yeah. There's like a little game.
Nostalgic Japan series.
Yes.
It's great for reference. Look at
There's-
that, blow up.
This one's all Ultraman, so everything inside is just various Ultraman items. This one's all gachapon toys
Oh,
from
that's
the 70s
awesome.
and 80s. Mostly Keshi.
Figured you could go forever, couldn't you, just
Yeah.
buying reference books,
Pinball
man?
machines,
Wow.
pachinko.
See, I want them all.
Yeah, there's tons. There's more than this, but they're great.
It's all
I thought that was a
fists.
camera.
Giant jumbo machinda fists.
This is before the licensing got switched over.
I like the box art. You can tell it's looks a little different to the Japanese box art.
It transforms into this kaiju.
Oh, why? Just because.
Just because.
Like a hockey mask Native American chief.
I actually bought one of these when I moved here. I'd never even seen Kamen Rider. I just thought this was a really cool toy.
Ken's a bad boy.
So that's how we all got on with our return trip to Shibuya. After we'd done at Mandarake, we all went out and got some traditional Japanese food.
And it looks like it's dead inside too. Even
Yeah,
better.
beautiful.
All right.
Look, what do you want? I'm a vegetarian. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to find somewhere that you can just sit down and eat something that doesn't have chicken, pork or fish in it. Especially at this time and in a place as busy as Shibuya where you just want to sit down and eat somewhere. Also, I'd not had Taco Bell for a long time and neither had Jeremy and the rest of the boys. And with him being from Kentucky and living in Tokyo, it is nice for him to be able to eat some American style food once in a while. But we had a really awesome time, as you can probably tell, and just a real fun few days checking out all these mandarakes and the other places that you saw in the video. We all got some dope new stuff for our collections, and I'm looking forward to showing you my pickups in a future video. As always, I'd be really interested to know if you saw anything in this episode that you wouldn't have been able to leave without coming home with. Please let me know down in the comments below. Like I said, these were the last mandarake stores that we had to check out, so after this I'm going to be going further afield and also checking out some real hidden spots as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today, and like I said earlier, although I have filmed a lot of toy hunting videos while I've been here, this trip wasn't just about buying toys, and I've got lots of videos that are going to be dropping real soon, covering all types of cool Japanese stuff, so I really hope that you come back and join us for them little adventures as well. If you want to help support Slimehouse videos, then I do have a Patreon. You get access to our exclusive Discord if you join that, where I've been putting up all the stuff that I've picked up in Japan. So whether you want to support the studio stuff where I do the toy making, or the art and about videos like this, that's the best place to do it. I do also have a merch store if you like the look of the hat or the hoodie that I've been wearing in these episodes. The link to that is in my bio. Everything there is designed by myself, and it's another really good way to be able to support what I'm doing here and help me make this brand and this channel and Slimehouse TV bigger and better than ever. So that's it for today's video. As always, I just want to say a massive thank you for tuning in. With all the other stuff that you could be watching on YouTube, it really does mean a lot that you come back here every single week and check out my Japan series, and I really hope to catch you in the next one. So until then, I'm Theo Kane, this is Slimehouse TV, Oyasumi Nasai. I'm gone. Pow.